The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Schaap. You may know me from ESPN's Outside the Lines and Sports Center. What you probably don't know is that I've suffered from Crohn's disease for almost 20 years. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America's Take Steps, Be Heard walk program is the largest national walk program dedicated to raising funds and awareness to combat Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. To learn more about how you can help and to find a walk site near you, please visit www.cctakesteps.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hi, I'm Hilary Duff. As a mom, I'm proud to support the March of Dimes in helping more women have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. That's why I walk in March for Babies. The money we raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Sign up today at marchforbabies.org. Together, we can help make healthier babies possible for thousands of families.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Studio located somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire is Rod Eccles.
Good morning to you, liberty lovers and ecclesiastics all across the globe. It is I, your lovable host, coming to you live this morning. Yes, this morning happens to be Hump Day, Wednesday, June number 28 in the year of our Lord 2017. Just a couple more days left in this wonderful month. It is a cool yet sunny morning here in northern New England, the bastion of freedom, or the basket of freedom. It's kind of funny, actually, when you think about it. Call-in number this morning, by the way, is 603-835-3226. It's kind of funny to think about it, that liberty was really kind of birthed here in New England. And New England right now, we're fighting to save it. Just normally speaking, they're all blue states in New England, save for New Hampshire. So we've got I would guess that Maine is now turned more purple. They're getting their act together up in Maine and electing more. They're not quite totally and completely conservative yet, but they're getting there, and their governors and their House are implementing and writing some laws that are a lot more conservative than they used to be, such as they instituted and passed a law that says that if you're going to be on food stamps, you've got to do at least look for a job. Have a job, get some job training education, legit go to school, or a tech school or a vocational school or a college, and if you're not doing any of those things, then you have to get off. And a lot of people in Maine that were on food stamps decided that they didn't want to do the prerequisite that was necessary to get their quote unquote free food. So they voluntarily took themselves off of food stamps. So the state of Maine is saving millions of dollars per year by not giving unnecessary food stamp money. Now that's to lazy recipients. Now that's a very conservative notion. Maine is still trying to help those who truly do need help and want help, but they've just booted people who are just sitting there gaming the system. Okay? Beautiful thing, very conservative. Probably, outside of New Hampshire, you probably would not have heard of that happening in New England. So Maine is coming back. It's a slow process. Vermonters are they're just overrun. Literally, Vermont is one of those states that liberals have basically destroyed just by showing up. Now, what do I mean by that? Vermont used to be, the native born of Vermont, the old timers, the Yankee families of Vermont, they're pretty conservative. They really are. But you have certain bastions. Now there's not even 1 million people in Vermont, so it doesn't take much to overrun Vermonters. I mean, let's face it. You've got Burlington, which is a beautiful, bucolic little city on the lake up north, and of course you've got the wonderful, picturesque smaller cities of Montpelier and Bennington. And of course, you've got the ski resorts like Wilmington, Vermont. So those have been infiltrated and invaded by a lot of people coming from the great tri-state area of New York City, Connecticut, New Jersey. Now, those people down there tend to be very liberal. They're bringing their liberal politics up to Vermont. Now, the other bad aspect to all these people coming up to Vermont is that, obviously Vermonters are not very, by and large, they're not wealthy people. They're hardworking, probably more blue collar, less white collar, more craftsmen. You have a lot of craftsmen in Vermont. So they don't make a whole lot of money, a ton of money. So what that's done is it is artificially, it isn't artificial, but it has artificially raised the value of much of the land in Vermont to the point where most local Vermonters can't afford to buy a house in Vermont. I'm not kidding. That was a big issue a few years ago during the height of before we had the current real estate, step back of real estate values and prices, before the current real estate, bubble burst. But most native Vermonters couldn't afford to buy a house in Vermont because they were priced out of it because of all the importers coming from Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, and in some ways California. They were moving, and they had more money and higher paying jobs compared to where they were living. Look, $100,000 salary in New York may not go very far, but $100,000 salary in Vermont goes a long way. So that beautiful, even that rundown house, but it has an absolutely to die for view. All you got to do is just come in and fix up the house. Well, the house is only $80,000. Well, sure, we'll bid on that. We'll take it up to $100,000, $150,000. And then we'll do all these ridiculous upgrades to it so that when we turn around and sell it, now it's worth $300,000. Literally, that's what happened during the decade of the 90s to the state of Vermont. People that were born and raised there were priced out of the market. And their politics went ultra-liberal because of it. Just saying. So it's kind of interesting that the basket of American freedom is now the bastion of socialism and anti-Americanism. I mean, it is kind of ironic that some of the greatest colleges and universities on the planet, Dartmouth and Harvard and MIT and Yale and Brown, most of them started by religious conservative people, are now completely anti-religious and completely and totally socialist liberal. It's amazing. Now, of course, that kind of transformation took a long time. So in order to transform it back to what it was supposed to be and meant to be is going to take some time. Now, I mean, how many people really think about that? I mean, I'm stuck here in New England. Well, I'm not stuck. I choose to be here, but you know what I'm saying. I'm up here in New England, surrounded by a bunch of very well-read and literate liberals. That just sounds like an oxymoron, doesn't it? Literate liberal. Well, I guess maybe they're not all very literate. You've got the wonderful professors that the problem is that these supposed professors, these learned people, many of them are old enough to know better. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're teaching and what they're not teaching. And frankly, that's just evil. Elizabeth Warren is not really a complete and utter nut job. She knows exactly what she's doing. That makes her evil. If you're just ill-taught, if you're a snowflake that hasn't been taught anything or the reality of life, that makes you ignorant, not evil. What makes you evil is you know the difference, you know the truth, and yet you teach lies anyway. That's evil. And in my book, that's Elizabeth Warren. That is many a professor at these wonderful institutes of higher learning. They know better. They know that now if they're a younger professor, if they're in their 30s and just got their PhD, which is ridiculous, it's a different story. They may have, not been taught anything, but they still have a PhD, so they're ignorant too. But the older ones, they know better. They know the truth. And yet they refuse to teach the truth. They want to teach their own little agenda. That's evil. In my book, that's very evil. But again, part of the problem is that you wonderful parents out there with college-age children, you're sending your kids off to these institutes of higher learning thinking that they're getting a wonderful education, and yet the kid comes back and sits in your basement, and then they spent $100,000 and $200,000 for a 4 or 6 year education with no real job prospects, and you're scratching your head thinking, well, they got an education. That was all that we were told. You get your kid needs to get a college education in order to move ahead and get a better job and all this kind of. It's a bunch of propaganda put forth by a bunch of colleges. Who do you think profits from all these kids going to school and getting worthless degrees? Well, it isn't the banks who loan the money, because a lot of banks are having a hard time getting some of that money back because those kids don't have a job to be able to pay them. It's the colleges, it's the universities, it's the institutes of higher learning that charge this ridiculous amount for your child to show up at the age of 18 so they can spit them out dumber than when they came in at the age of 22 or 25 and say, well, now here's your bill for $250,000. Have a nice life. Oh, by the way, you'll be spending the rest of your life, adult life, paying off this debt. By the way, in most cases, you don't owe us anymore. And you're probably thinking, scratching your head, well, what do you mean they just spent $200,000 on education? How do they not owe the college? Because the college has already been paid. You owe the bank or the government that money. The college gets their money. Do you folks realize that? These institutes of higher learning get their money up front. They get it. That is why they have no qualms whatsoever about selling you a fake, phony, ridiculous degree. And then setting you a sale after 4 or 6 years and say, good luck to you. They have no problem with that because they're already getting paid. They've already gotten their money. So if you decide to take some stupid course, they don't care. They got their money day one. You now have to worry about paying it back. And if you chose the wrong path, the wrong degree, the useless degree, if you chose to get a master's degree in historical underwater watercolor art, that's your own damn fault. All they can say is, well, we offer these different courses to get all these wonderful students interested in higher learning. It's not our fault that there's no real value to it in the workforce after they graduate from us. It's up to them how to figure out how to make it work. Well, see, that's evil too. They sell you a bill of goods, you buy it, which is your own damn fault for buying it. But then you go out there, and then you wonder why. You send your kid out there, and you wonder why they come back all screwed up, living in your basement, grubby, a snowflake. I mean, I heard a woman on Rush last week, Rush Limbaugh show, saying that, I have a snowflake child. And she says, well, it's our fault. You're damn right it's the parents' fault. You're the ones that sent the kid out there in the first place. Should have known better. But she claimed that she was a conservative baby boomer. Well, that's almost an oxymoron, but there are some conservative baby boomers out there. But yet those conservative baby boomers still say, it doesn't even matter if they're a baby. It doesn't matter what the generational group is. It could be Generation X, could be, baby boomers, could be the greatest generation. Doesn't matter. You can be, but you're conservative, and yet you send your kid to an ultra-liberal college, and you wonder why your kid comes back liberal. Stop sending them to those ultra-liberal colleges. Stop wasting your money. Stop wasting your kid's future. Little Johnny says, well, I want to go to Harvard. Say, nope, Johnny, you're not going there. You're going to America University. One that actually teaches reality and some real hardcore stuff that actually you can utilize and use and get a job with. Not historical underwater watercolor art. And then have you spend the next 30 years paying off a $200,000 college note. Give me a break. You're going to a real school and you're going to take a real subject, not business administration. You're going to be an engineer, a real engineer. You're going to learn how to be an architect. How's that? Maybe a scientist. Maybe a medical doctor. You're not going to be a historian. Historian of what? Unless you're going to be a history teacher, it's a useless degree.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
And now a message from our sponsor. Ladies, tired of drying your hair with the same old vacuum cleaner? Try Avon Shave brand new Beauty Locks portable hair dryer. It's smaller, it's faster, it's guaranteed to give you the hair you've always wanted in half the time. Beauty Locks is delicate and dainty just like you. The dryer weighs only a pound and easily fits in your hand. Now that's beauty and convenience. With a speedy motor that will dry your hair in as little as 25 minutes, you can get gorgeous hair without falling behind schedule. Don't worry about the little ones or that pie in the oven. Thanks to an extra-long extension cord, you can move around while primping your locks. Forget those long trips to the salon and no more waiting for hours under monster machines. Alvanche gives you an easy and speedy hairdo that will blow your man away. Get it now at your nearest Macy's.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show. Let truth be told.
(603-835-3226). Later this morning, we have the Intel report. We have the future shock report. And we have your calls, should you decide to call in at 603-835-3226. Your questions, and I think we got something from Twitter this morning, maybe. Question and answer period later in the third hour. If I want to actually, I don't. It's kind of a stupid question, but maybe we'll get to it. Any case. Welcome back. Yeah, I know some people are saying, well, you got to go to college, Rod. You got to go to, well, yeah, I mean, there's some certain professions you need schooling. Do you know some of the highest paid employees in the world? Well, let's just stick with this country. You don't need a college education. Yeah, like what? Financial advisor. No, you need to go to college for that. No, you don't need to go to college for that. You need to be licensed. You don't have to go to college for it. In fact, college isn't going to help you. You have to be licensed by your various state entities as well as the Fed. You know, they sell life or health insurance, property casualty, sell stocks or bonds. You don't need a college education to do that. How about just the good old profession of sales? One of the highest paying professions in the world is sales. Don't necessarily need a college education for that. How about being a computer guru? Being a computer tech. Don't need a college education for that. In fact, for most of the high paying stuff, all you need is a certificate. There's no college degree involved in learning, Ruby on Rails or C++. It's like a 6-month certificate. I mean, you got to pay through the nose for one of those certificates. What is it, like $25,000, $30,000 to get C++ or something from Microsoft? But still, it's not a college education. You don't need a college education. I mean, most of the Fortune or the wealthiest 400, Fortune's 400 wealthiest, most of those people either didn't go to college to begin with or dropped out. They don't have college degrees. And even Mark Zuckerberg. Bill Gates, nope, no degree. They may have gained degrees well after they started their companies and became ridiculously wealthy. Steve Jobs dropped out of college. All these people, they didn't get a degree. But you know what? They hire a lot of you stupid idiots that did spend all that money to get a degree. Yeah, J. Paul Getty was famous for saying, I don't need to know everything. I can just go out and hire people who know everything about a subject I need to know about. In other words, J. Paul Getty, he wasn't a college degree type of person, but he could hire a college degree for cheap money that would make him a mint, and it did. Just saying. Obviously, if you're going to be a medical doctor, yeah, I want my doctor to be, obviously at the top of his class. But for a lot of professions that we think you need a college degree for, you don't need a college degree. You'd be surprised how many people have business administration and other kinds of business degrees on Wall Street that don't need a degree at all. All they needed to do was study for the licensing. They spent all that money, then they're hamstrung by paying off such huge college debt. Why? I don't know. Ask them.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed,
630 to 90,
could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
Last night, I had a friend who gave me a cigar to try. He said, "This is a new cigar." Now, I don't even remember what it's called because I don't want to remember what it's called. I'm just not going to do that cigar ever again. Who would do? It was like a cigarette. They added menthol to cigars. Who would? I mean, I've had flavored cigars before. I'm not a huge fan of them, but he said, "Yeah, this one's pretty cool." So I tried. I'm like, "What the hell is that? Is that menthol? They put menthol in a cigar?" I wonder what college-educated idiot came up with that idea. That's not going to make it. Cigar smokers don't want that kind of crap in their cigars. Just saying. So stay away from. I don't know what it was. I hate. I don't want to have. I don't know. I didn't even keep the wrapper. I just tossed it. I didn't even finish it. It was like a couple of puffs. I'm like, that's disgusting. Now, he was smiling, too, as if it was a joke that he was playing on. It wasn't a joke. He was serious. He actually liked that garbage. Anyway, just saying, don't, if your cigar says it has an added flavor and menthol is added flavor, just pass it over. Don't even bother with it. I'm just warning you now. You'll be sorry. Well, some people, if you smoke cigarettes too, you're taste the menthol, and I'm damn sure you're gonna want to inhale it, and you never want to inhale a cigar. Whoa, big mistake. Done it a couple of times accidentally. Make sure I never do that again. But speaking of, it's bad for your health to inhale a cigar. Puffing on it and tasting the flavor of the smoke is okay. But, it's not good for your health to inhale it like that. Especially if it's loaded with menthol. Ugh. But speaking of health care, you probably already know that the health care bill has been tabled for now. And one of the reasons it was tabled is because the Senate, which means McConnell's group, added a penalty for going uninsured. Now, folks, I don't know what is it going to take for the American people to say enough is enough? What is it going to take? What is it going to take for us to say? And by the way, those of us who are real Americans who want freedom and liberty and want less government, we far outnumber those that want bigger government. So what is it going to take for us finally to come together and say, enough of this bullshit? We're going to oust every single member of Congress that doesn't do what we want them to do, which is just eliminate and repeal Obamacare. And give us our freedom back. Give us our choices back. Get it? What is it going to take to get? We know that the VA hospital is a mess. Veterans die waiting for care. Veterans are denied care that they normally should have gotten and would save their lives. We know Medicare and Medicaid do the same thing with the elderly and the poor. We know this. And we got a bunch of idiots and jackasses that think that everybody should suffer under this type of a system. Well, how about we get what kind of country that says that it is humane and cares for its people forces them to get something that they don't necessarily want or can't afford, and then doesn't allow them the choice to choose in something as personal as healthcare? I mean, you get over 62 and a half now, 65? You get over 65 and you don't have you're on Medicare. Because the government just cares so much for our elderly that we screw them over every single month. I mean, I love it when what was it, the Medicare Part D, whatever it is, the prescription part. I love it when they say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna give Social Security recipients a cost of living index raise, like 2%," and then they turn around and say, "Well, your Medicare Part D part that you have to pay every month, well, that's going to go up by 3%. They've done this a number of times, by the way. I'm not making this up. So on one hand, they're saying, well, we're giving you a raise in your Social Security benefits every month, but then they take it right back. So oftentimes there is a net loss to a senior citizen's net or monthly income when it comes to that. But we don't give them a choice to get off of it. And now none of us have a choice. Oh, you got to have it. Well, I don't want the kind of, supposed plans that I'm a single guy. Why the hell do I need all this extra stuff that maybe only a female or a family of 5 needs? I don't need all that. Well, I mean, somebody's got to pay for it. Well, it should be them, not me. And I love these people who say, well, it's your responsibility, your civic duty. No, it's not. My health is my health. It's none of your damn business. It is not my civic duty to pay for somebody else's health care. And I'm sorry, it's not. It's not my civic duty to pay for anybody, any other person's anything. If I want to live in a wonderful society, yes, it is my duty as a Christian and as a human being to help those who are truly in need. And I say help. That's temporary. It is not my duty to pay for their asses. There is a huge difference. We have a duty to help our fellow man, our fellow citizen, when they are down. Help them back up, to get back on their feet, to become contributing members of society again. It is not our duty to continually pay for them for the rest of their natural lives. Not at all. That is not our duty. That is not the stronghold of government. That is not the duty of government. That is not the duty of your community. However you want to define that community, if you want to define it as your state or your city or town or your specialty group, LGBT, it is not the responsibility of LGBTQ PDQ people to pay for a transgender's transgender surgery. It's not. Doesn't matter what you call community. So therefore, having a penalty for not being insured is basically saying, well, you have to have it because it is your duty to pay for somebody else's health insurance. It is not. Our government should be looking to, I'm looking for somebody who's actually going to say, and be honest, you know what? It's time that the federal government phase out everything except for the VA when it comes to medical care. Now, I know there are people that are already in the middle of all this stuff, and especially the senior citizens, the elderly, they've already been screwed. So we got to continue to provide for them. But for younger people, it is time we start phasing it out and say, look, it's not the government's responsibility. We made a mistake. It's not our responsibility to take care of you like this. It's not. But we make a promise to our military vets. We put them in, I know that they volunteer, but we put them in harm's way. It is our duty as a society to take care of them properly and fulfill promises made. That's what society does. That's what a decent, just and decent society does. It takes care of those who protect them. I mean, these are, as far as anything else is concerned, though, as far as the government, no. Government doesn't need to pay for any, you know how much money the government, you know how much in taxes we'd save? If we simply just started eliminating on the federal level a lot of this crap that is actually unconstitutional, and if we start eliminating departments that we don't need, never should have had, like the Department of Education, never should have had it. Like, well, it's good to have standards, Rod. And yeah, well, I understand the standard. You can have standards without having a whole bureaucratic nightmare of a department. And you can have real standards, not these fake standards where they're forcing teachers to teach to a test and not actually teach. I don't think I've met a teacher yet that would not be glad if all these so-called standardized testing things went away, and they were able to actually teach kids subjects and critical thinking. Most public school teachers want to do that. They actually want to teach, but they can't. So should we get rid of all that kind of stuff that's it's anti-freedom, actually. It forces people to be dependent on who? On the government. Forces people to be dependent on government. Is that what a free society is all about? No, if you're dependent on somebody else, you're not free. And if you're dependent on government, you're a slave to that government. Hell, just really look at anybody who's on any type of welfare program. I mean, you can't try to better yourself. If you try to get off of, you know how difficult it is in many places that don't have programs to get like Maine, to get people off of welfare. Do you know how difficult it is to get off welfare? You try to get a job to improve your lot in life, and they will cut you off so fast. Oh, I'm sorry. You can only earn $100 a month extra. Because if you earn $101, we're going to take $200 away from your benefits. I mean, that's the way this crap works. So who's going to do that? They're going to well, I can't afford that. I mean, well, because they get hooked on this thing anyway. If somebody being dependent, somebody else taking care of them. And you people that allow your kids to stay in your basement, literally. Now, I'm not being facetious on this. If you allow your kid to live with you, they're an adult, especially if they're a postgraduate. They gurgitated from college. If you allow them to live with you for an extended period of time without paying rent and upkeep, room and board, you're contributing to the problem. I am not kidding. Now, that's one thing if, little Johnny or little Susie comes home after college and say, hey, Mom, Dad, I'm back for the summer. They're there for 3 months or so while they're looking for a job, and they find a job and they move on. That's great. But if your kid comes home, sits in his basement or his bedroom, whatever it is, for most of the day, and then they just have a small part-time job at Starbucks or McDonald's, and you don't charge them for room and board, you are the main problem for snowflakes. And you can say all you want to, well, they'll eventually grow out of it. Well, that's why we have a number of Americans that are in their 30s still living with their parents. We're not a society that has been built, that is built on and runs today by having multi-generations living under the same roof with only one generation paying for everything. It's not the way it works. Because at some point, either you're not going to be able to, well, it doesn't really matter. At some point, you're not going to be able to keep it up. Because either you're going to be too old, too sick, or too dead. And then what are they going to do? No one of all those wonderful dependents of you. See, at some point, they got to stop being independent and depend on themselves. They got to stop depending on somebody else to provide for them and depend on themselves. It's amazing. All you hear is a bunch of these snowflakes saying, gimme, 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 gimme. None of them say, well, this is what I have to offer. They just say, gimme, gimme, gimme. Gimme free education, gimme free health, because they don't want to pay for anything. Well, they think they won't pay for anything because they think its government is free. I don't know where they think government gets. Oh, I know. Government gets all their money from rich people. That's it. Just charge it. Just tax the rich. You know, those rich people who actually provide jobs. And if you say that ain't so, name one single poor person that ever employed somebody else.
Hello, America. It's me, your history. I remember a time when we thumbed our nose in a king's face, sent him packing. And when fascists and emperors talked a little bit too loud, we showed up, tore their cities to the ground, and then rebuilt them just to prove we could. We put men on the moon, we won a Cold War, and we elected fearless leaders who led fearless people. What the hell happened to you, America? Back in my day, we didn't elect a big-eared community organizer. We punched him in the kidney. Maybe it's time you came home, America. Home where you belong.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
This is Free America broadcasting on the Rod Eccles Show with a message to all patriots trapped behind the lines in California, New York, Boston, and Chicago. Don't give up, true lovers of America. Even as we speak, moves are being made to drive the invaders back to the land from which they came, defeat the would-be dictators, and lift the chains of tyranny from around your neck. Stay strong. Stay brave. You're not forgotten, and you're not alone. Until next time, patriots, this is Free America signing out.
Call Rod now, 603-835-3226. Lines are open.
Evidently, CNN dodged a bullet, or at least temporarily. Yes, the Washington Post, the New York Post has the story. The specter of a $100 million libel suit scared CNN into retracting a poorly reported story that slimed an ally of President Trump's and forcing out the staffers responsible for it, the New York Post has learned. This is why these three resigned. I said there had to be some other reason that they got fired, basically. The cable network's coverage of Trump transition team member Anthony Scaramucci. Scaramouche? Isn't or is it Scaramouche? Oh, the Queen song. I'm just a poor boy from a poor family. Scaramouche, Scaramouche. Never really liked that song, but yeah. Was it, We Are the Champions and whatever. We are the champions, my friend. We will rock you. Well, whatever. You know what that is. The rock opera thing. Anyway, amid federal scrutiny of corporate parent Time Warner's pending purchase by AT&T, and the widespread belief among media execs that CNN President Jeff Zucker can't survive a merger, CNN immediately caved after Scaramucci, a financier and frequent network guest, cried foul and threatened to take legal action, the sources said yesterday. Now, Scaramucci got an unusual public apology, but still hired a top Manhattan lawyer to put further pressure on CNN and to, quote, unquote, look after his interest in this matter. Sources also said that the three journalists responsible for the retracted story, reporter Tom Frank, editor Eric Lichtblau, Lichtblau, and Lex Harris, with one R, Haris, who headed the CNN Investigates unit, were urged to resign, i.e., resign or be fired. They called them in and said that they'd pay out their contracts, but they should leave immediately. Zucker was afraid of facing a high-profile suit from Scaramucci while the U.S. Justice Department weighs the proposed $85.5 billion media merger. So basically, hit them where it hurts in their wallet, and CNN will cave. They will fold like a cheap, thin piece of paper. What do they call that origami? They will fold like cheap origami paper. Just saying. It just goes to show that these people really did understand and know what they were doing. They knew that they were lying. They just didn't think anybody would call them out. See, this is what the lamestream media does. They know that they lie. They know that they get the stories purposefully wrong. They just don't think anybody is going to really hold them accountable. Instead, they want to cry foul when they have a press briefing or meeting and the Trump administration demands that the cameras remain off, or they don't call on CNN or a couple of other fake news outlets. You call them, this is not fair. Well, if you'd stop purposefully falsely reporting the news, you'd get called on. See, they don't seem to get the correlation. Why? Because nobody holds them accountable. So when you do, they'll do one of two things. If you threaten them in their pocketbook, taking away their money, then they'll fold like a cheap suit. Or they'll whine and complain when you don't call on them. He won't call on us. The president is keeping the American people from learning the truth. No, the president's not. He's still calling on news outlets, isn't he? He's still holding press conferences, isn't he? He's still holding press briefings, isn't he? Yeah, he's just not really paying attention to you people in the fake news industry.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I'm a leftist elite Hollywood a-hole? If so, good news. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College is now open, featuring such courses as unemployment is not paid vacation. No, Americans don't want to spend $19 for an order of French fries, and the ever popular shut the hell up. Why, just listen to this big-time celebrity endorsement.
I'm not Rosie O'Donnell, and I think this school's offensive, sexist, and racist.
And I think you're a giant a-hole who needs to shut the hell up. Hey, we teach a course in that. the Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College, where being an A-hole is not a guarantee you'll be an A student.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and always stay in the kitchen when cooking at high temperatures. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
It's pretty amazing when you consider that 7 years ago, we didn't have the treatments we have now. We cure 80% of children with cancer. Go back 50 years, we were curing 20 to 30%. This is the miracle story of modern medicine. We understand what makes this cancer tick. And of course, without donors from around the world, this just couldn't happen. There's one thing we're focused on, and that's beating this thing.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Not on my watch, our military service members say, as they volunteer to serve. As they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve to live full and independent lives, even when there's no government funding, or a nursing home seems like the only option. We won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Join us at findwwp.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
America's wounded warriors are coming home. After serving on foreign shores, these brave men and women are returning to their families and communities. Many have wounds you can see, and many have wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Now that these warriors are back home, they are ready to enter the civilian workforce. To help, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps warriors translate their military experience to the civilian workplace. These extraordinary men and women bring proven world-class job skills and a unique perspective on teamwork to the job. And to ensure the right warrior finds the right job, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right match. When you hire a wounded warrior, you hire an intelligent, talented, and committed new employee. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Studio located somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire is Rod Eccles.
And welcome back. Here we are, hour number 2 on this Wednesday, Hump Day, June number 28th in the year of our Lord 2017, as we're coming to you live from the Bunkerize studio. Glad that you are here. Call-in number this morning is 603-835-3226, as it is every morning. I don't. This whole CNN thing just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I have another story here that we'll go over a little bit later about Sarah Palin in the New York Times. You won't believe what I mean. This is about time that. Yeah, I'm surprised Donald Trump doesn't. President Trump doesn't. Well, I guess he can't because he's president. He really can't threaten to sue anybody. But maybe he should. We gotta these news outlets. They think they're unaccountable. They really do. But look, I always strive to make sure that I get the right information, which is why sometimes I don't talk about some subjects that other talking heads will talk about, simply because I can't get all the information that I really need to talk about, and I don't know if it's accurate. What little information I have. Because the last thing I'm going to do is say something that is just that I have to come back and apologize for and retract, because that's a bunch of BS. If you got to do that, it means you didn't do your homework. And if you don't have all the, I don't jump on this. I don't jump on the bandwagon of start spouting off information. I'll let people know. This is all the information that we can find. This is what we got so far. Because how many times has the story changed from literally? 5 minutes later, it changes. Oh, you get a story. 20 people are dead. Then we get a story. Then 5 minutes later, they up it. No, it's not 20, it's 30. And then we're told, but we won't jump to conclusions that it's a terrorist attack. And then here in the USA, they'll wait, nearly half a day before they finally say, well, it's a terrorist attack. But, over in Europe, they'll automatically say, yep, looks like it's a terrorist attack. And a half hour later, definitely. We're treating it as a terror attack. And we here in the USA say, well, no, we can't jump to conclusions. They won't jump to conclusions on terrorist activity and terror attacks, but they'll jump to conclusions and blame a right-wing group right off the bat. Oh, yeah, I wonder if this is the same guy, the same John Doe who's a member of the Nevada Tea Party. It looks like it could be. So instead of finding out for sure before they report it, they just go out there and report it. Then they got to come back. No, sorry. We had it wrong. Different John Doe. It's like the Michael Cohen incident. Michael Cohen went to Prague or someplace. And all they had to do was just follow up to see if it was the right Michael Cohen, and they would have known that it wasn't. But no, they went out there and then they stood by their story. We stand by our story that it was Michael Cohen. Well, yeah, it was Michael Cohen, but you insinuated it was President Trump's Michael Cohen, and it wasn't. But we said Michael Cohen, and there really was a Michael Cohen that went to Prague. Well, this is why they think that they're unaccountable. They think they're unaccountable. In any case, this morning, that sound means that it is time for the Intel Report with Agent 0010. Yes, he is fully licensed to inform. Good morning, Agent. How are you this morning? Oh, Agent, are you there? 0010, I can't hear you. Yep. Did we lose Agent 0010? I think we did. Did not hear Agent come through on that one. Huh. That was a first. He's usually there. Uh-oh. In other words, we're being tracked. He had some very good specific information this morning, and hopefully that Agent is safe. Good morning, hello? Agent. He's back. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you, Rod?
Good. Well,
I have no idea what just happened.
Yeah, well, I do. Well, no, I can't say. I don't have proof to back up my claim, so we'll leave it at that. All these little these little things out there, they're just if it quacks like a duck, and waddles like a duck, it's probably a duck. As you always say, 2 + 2 is 4, but sometimes you got to make sure that it is 2 + 2 and not 2 + 3. So we had a conversation yesterday, Agent, and you were informing me of some rather interesting stuff. So could you just briefly give the listeners a brief synopsis of what we went over yesterday?
Yeah. Basically, that after I got pulled out of Central and South America, out of that counter drugs or counter drug operations down there, some friends were telling me that the mission end game had changed. That it wasn't just to completely get rid of the drug cartels, but that the mission had changed. And when I asked them what it was, they said to move it north.
Yeah. And now folks have to understand that there is a documentary series. I think it's either History Channel or AMC or A&E, one of the more uppity types of cable channels, and I call them uppity. AMC is pretty uppity, and History Channel is pretty uppity, and I know some of their programming is uppity. That's why I call them uppity. But one of them has a series right now about the U.S. war on drugs, and some of the stuff that they're bringing to light is absolutely shocking in regards to the participation of the U.S. government on the other side of the war. I mean, going back into the late 60s, early 70s, when this documentary is fully blaming the heroin epidemic on the CIA. So is this some of the stuff that you've gotten? Is this what's now coming to light? Is this stuff true?
Well, there is government involvement. The end game was to basically get cheap oil for the United States out of Mexico, because oil prices were projected to increase dramatically, and nobody wanted a replay of what had happened in the 70s during the Carter administration with OPEC. So the best way to be a hero is cause the chaos. So basically what had happened is not long after 2008, they decided to combine the efforts of pushing the drugs out of Colombia and Panama and push it north into Mexico with, later on, they decided to merge that with Fast and Furious. Because after the drug cartels in Mexico took over and became the power threat, the tracking of the weapons that were being used during Fast and Furious mysteriously stopped, even though that they were supposed to track the weapons so that way our personnel can go in there. And during the Bush administration, I mean, it was a novel idea, but seems that the Democrats have a tendency of taking anything that the Republicans create, such as, let's say, the EPA or the national parks, and use it as a weapon. Well, they took Fast and Furious and made it into a weapon to arm the cartels of Mexico, create the chaos. And since we started having an overabundance of military hardware, they just gave it to the Mexicans and became the hero. And in exchange, the exchange was cheaper oil. Now, suddenly, the oil prices started dropping.
Now the Fast and Furious. This was a program that was started by George W. Bush administration, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And
yeah.
What was it working at the time to eliminate some of the cartel involvement in this? What was
yeah,
it?
It was.
Okay. And then you had of course, after George W. Bush, we had Barack H. Obama and his administration, and they stopped tracking the weapons that they were that were put into this program.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the program only worked as long as you maintained a tracking of the weapons. And during the Obama administration, that suddenly had stopped. Even though the EPA's name was still stamped on the program, they were no longer the ones actually running the program. And they created all this chaos that's going on in Mexico right now, all for the sake of cheaper oil.
So now this started when they stopped really tracking and started turning things around on the Mexican government. This is obviously, so Obama gets in office.
Roughly around 2009, late 2009 to late 2010, that 1 year time span, but things were working in the process. And
now, when did this
come around 2012.
2012. And then this is when it pretty much came to a head, and we started having the need for cheaper. Well, I mean, we had. Didn't Obama say that the gas was going to be expensive? That he wanted it expensive. You know, he was going to bankrupt coal companies, and gas was going to cost $10 a gallon, and that kind of thing. And then did they change their mind on that?
Well, the contradiction to that is the simple fact that in 2012, the United States government and the Mexican government came to an agreement to do offshore drilling together in the Gulf of Mexico. So if he says that, then why was there that agreement in 2012 for the offshore drilling?
Now, 2012. Now, isn't that when we had an issue with the Deepwater Horizon?
Yeah, roughly around. Yeah, I believe so. It was around 2012.
So the Obama administration at that did they not put a moratorium on U.S.-based oil drilling and exploration in the Gulf because of Deepwater Horizon?
That's why the Mexicans were doing it for us. That's why the agreement.
Uh-huh. And so the Mexicans were getting the cheap oil, selling it to us cheaply to help bring down our gas prices, while we looked like we were being environmentally sound, and Obama looks like he was fulfilling a campaign promise by cutting back on oil production.
Well, you got to also remember that, Deepwater Horizon was not Shell or Exxon or anything like that. That was BP. BP stands for British Petrol. So BP is a British company. I mean, yeah, they do have offices in the United States, but they also have offices all over the planet.
And they got economically hammered for that. I mean, basically, they were. What is the term I'm looking for?
Kicking the family jewels?
No, the financial term. They were, the government absconded with billions of BP's cash. Extortion. There was extortion there, basically. Legalized extortion is what happened to BP. But
you know what? I'll be honest. I mean, I'm not what you might consider a tree hugger, but I also, I'm the kind of person that I respect nature. And I do sincerely believe that BP's obligation was to clean up that mess, to care for the animals, to start the rescue process almost immediately, to contain all that oil. That was definitely BP's responsibility, and I will never say otherwise. They screwed up. Something happened. They better clean up the mess. But all that extra money, my question is, okay, wow, so BP just paid for the United States they just paid the oil bill to the United States. That's all.
Now, I have my suspicions, and I have no real proof on it, and nobody seems to be coming forward. It's kind of amazing how silent everybody is surrounding this, but I don't think this was purely an accident. Is there any evidence to back me up on my theory that this was probably some sort of sabotage or terrorist action?
I'll be honest with you, I have nothing on that. I mean, the only thing I do have is what I was also told, that that's the reason why Obama wanted the border open so desperately, because, part of him felt bad that there were going to be women and children dying from these drug wars between the cartels and the Mexican government. So he wanted the borders open so people can run away from all that insanity that's going on down there, in that western coast of Mexico. But which is now moving into the capital city of Mexico City. But that's the biggest reason why he wanted the borders open, because he knew that the effect it was going to have on the civilians, the drug war being pushed to the north into Mexico, when the original end game was to just end the drug cartels. And when they decided, no, let's push it north, create all that chaos and all that havoc, we got a ton of military equipment. And the United States is like one of the biggest suppliers of military equipment on the planet. So they just said it'll be a fair trade-off. If we give them $1 billion worth of military equipment, we can get $2.5 billion worth of oil. It's a fair trade-off, in their minds, anyway.
And thus, it gives us a lot. Well, it makes our gas cheaper. It makes a lot of other things cheaper, because oil is the base for a lot of products and services in this country.
Yeah.
Well, around the world, it's just not used for gas and heating oil to heat our homes.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. It just infuriates me that I was part of something that I thought was really important, something that needed to be done, and it was.
Do you think they just simply lost their way, or was this done purposefully?
Oh, God, it was purposely done. I mean, like I said, Fast and Furious, they maintained the ATF's name on it, but it was not run by the ATF. And honestly, I mean, if you go back and you take a look at Eric Holder's words, there are hints there that, oh, wait a minute, hold on. He said this is done under the ATF name. Or, he suggested that it's just the ATF's name, but that somebody else is really running it. And if you go back and take a look at his words, that's exactly what you're going to hear. At one point, he did say this is run by the ATF, since such and such a date. But what he neglected to say was the end date of the ATF being involved. Those men and women, they're damn good people. And I worked with them down there when I was involved in it. But like I said, a mission that was very important to the children of the United States was prostituted into something where thousands of Mexican men, women, and children are being murdered.
Well, now, can you hold on till after the break?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I got another question I want you to think about and give us an answer to. Because during the Obama administration, there were a lot of Americans that all of a sudden were on our side of the border that were being trapped and caught in the crossfire and killed. I know we had a rancher that was down there on the border that he's out there looking at his own property, and he was shot and killed. And everybody was blaming the illegal immigrants, but it looks like it was an quote-unquote ATF gun was used to gun him down. So I guess my question for you is, how true was all that, and what is the Trump administration doing about it now? So we'll be right back, folks.
You're listening to the Rod Eccles Show, the coolest, most politically incorrect, conservative black man on the planet.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
You got to wonder, really, why the former administration was really so adamant against closing the border when they knew that Americans' property and Americans' lives were being threatened, and some people even lost their lives and their property. And it just makes you scratch your head until you start putting the pieces together. There was an end game to this that wasn't to the American benefit. Let's just put it that way. And when we get back, we're going to get the answer to my question from the wonderful Agent 0010. Don't go anywhere. Call Rod now, 666-603-835-3226.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all, the few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. Woo! There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
We are discussing the wonderful drug wars and how the drug wars got pushed up into Mexico and how the tracking of the guns under the George W. Bush administration in order to target drug cartels was somehow realigned, let's put it that way, under the Obama administration, and the tracking was stopped. And that a lot of Americans were starting to feel the pinch, was starting to feel the crossfire, and actually being killed because of the drug war actually crossing our border, and cartels crossing our border at will, because Obama just didn't want to close the borders or patrol them in a manner that would have protected a lot of Americans, especially those that were murdered because of this. And my question is the Trump administration continuing this program, or are they cleaning it up? What's happening with it now?
I haven't talked to anybody, and I'm not putting a lot of faith in President Trump, but he doesn't come across as a person who would put up with something like that. After all, he is putting up the wall, and he says no matter what, the wall is going to go up. So I don't even think he knows about it if he did. But did you notice, though, that after the whole uproar about Fast and Furious not being tracked hit the press, that lasted, a week? Then it just died down, just quietly went away.
Yeah, because of their wonderful potentate was the head of it. It wasn't a Republican. It was not just any Democrat. It was the Obama Democrat. So their favored person. They got him elected. So now they had to protect him. But what is happening?
Well, you
now?
know what I mean. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What is happening now? Because we still hear a lot of danger in the jungles of Colombia. So we seem to be putting a lot of ATF and drug enforcement resources into Colombia. And in fact, there's even military missions down there. We're using snipers and special forces in the jungles down there as well to try to find this stuff out. But it's all been pushed. Is it still being pushed? Is it getting back into Colombia? What's happening with that?
Well, that's just a basic military tactic. If you take the high ground, you don't relinquish the high ground. So they're still dealing with what's left of the cartels, which is, compared to Mexico, almost negligible, and they continue to fight them, but they're not going to allow it to grow to the point that it was previously, where judges, lawyers, politicians were being assassinated, continuously. So, they're not going to let it grow back to that point, because they've reached the end game. Now you notice it's Mexico where things are going bad. But if you haven't noticed, we really don't have anything as far as a U.S. presence in Mexico that can compare to what we had in Colombia. it's minimal.
Why is that?
Anybody's noticed.
It obviously isn't because we don't have the resources, because they could put resources there. But Mexico doesn't want us there? What's the deal there?
Because it's not a real war on drugs. It's not real. It's a joke. You push the drugs to the north into Mexico. You create this chaos. Then you come swooping in like the superhero and say, hey, guess what? We've got gifts and presents for you. We just need a little bit of a favor. But we're going to keep the borders open, too. So that way, victims, people running away from this stuff, the economic stability of Mexico, because basically it is an economically repressed country. There is no real job growth. Okay, guess what? People can come into the United States, too. There's part of the deal. But at no point in time did the Obama administration tell Mexico, oh, yeah, we pushed the drugs into your country on purpose. That never happened. They just said, no, we're going to leave the borders open so that way people can come in, get jobs and all that good stuff and, relieve the stress on you, the Mexican government. And Mexico's like, oh, good deal. Okay. Little did they know it was just to appease, the Obama administration's conscience about all these innocent Mexican women and children being murdered.
And all because they stopped tracking, but still kept stopped tracking the weapons, but still kept giving the weapons to them.
Exactly. Now you brought up that Texas farmer. Well, 2 words describe what happened to him: collateral damage.
Well, yeah, I think that is what they did say about that. Was too bad, and they were. And of course, we've had a number of Border Patrol agents who they say were attacked by illegals just trying to cross the border and get by. But didn't we have a couple of Border Patrol agents who were shot and killed by ATF guns? Isn't that how this really came to light?
Yeah, I've never seen too many Border Patrol agents being killed by illegals just trying to come to the United States and make a better life for themselves, using an assault rifle.
Yeah, so they had assault rifles, and of course now some people are talking about smuggling. Yeah, we know that there's human smuggling across the border, and that can that's how a lot of illegals get in safely or successfully, as they get smuggled in. But these smugglers are it's another cash avenue for the drug cartels, is it not?
Oh yeah, because these guys know exactly the weak points of where to smuggle people in. So if you can smuggle people in, you can smuggle people to that access point so they can drop off the drugs and get picked up by somebody else on the other side of the border.
Yeah, because they're the ones building the tunnels.
Basically, yeah.
And these are not just haphazard, rough tunnels. These are sophisticated tunnels that are used over and over again as a regular means of transport, right?
Mm-hmm. The ATF, well, not the ATF, but the Border Patrol, they're shutting these tunnels down left and right. But like I said before, if you haven't noticed, a lot of that power that the Border Patrol and the ICE agents had was taken away from them. A lot of it was taken away from them. They were told, nope, can't do that. Nope, can't do that. Nope. Yep, don't care about your job. You're not going to do that either. Why? Because I said so. That's it.
Is this just pure? What is this? This goes beyond negligence, because this is not something that was ignored. This was something that was done on purpose. What is this? Is this treason?
I'm not going to say. Oh, that I wouldn't. If it's for the betterment of the American economy, take it easy on the American pocketbook, then no, I wouldn't call it treason, because it was for the benefit of the American people and the American economy. But what I would call it is an international crime, a moral crime. And believe me, when it comes to moral crimes, I'm pretty much a freaking expert.
Well, I don't. Again, well, now we're in the midst of the Trump administration, so he's the only one that really could put a stop or change any of this. What is? I don't even know where to go with this from here, because this is some pretty interesting stuff. What we have is the Obama administration basically colluding with the Mexican government, and the Mexican government probably being in the dark in order to keep oil prices low, while at the same time Obama's blustering to his base about reducing the use of oil and reducing and stopping exploration in certain parts of the world, but allowing Mexico to do it instead, which takes the heat off of him and his environmentalist wackos. And then stopping would it not have seemed to be a good thing to do to keep track of these weapons and to give that information to the Mexican government instead of just letting these things run freely, which obviously are being used against the Mexican government? You think the Mexican government would be demanding to have these things tracked, or at least the program stopped. Why didn't they?
Why didn't the Mexican government demand it to be stopped?
Yeah. I mean, their own soldiers are being killed with these things. You'd think that they would want to protect their own military personnel.
Well, see, the whole thing, is that you forget there's another aspect of this where it intertwines into this, and it's an illegal process, and it's basically gun running. They run the drugs in from the United States into Mexico, and the Mexican government is trying to stop it. And the Mexican government are pretty sure that this is from a criminal cartel. What the Mexican government doesn't know is that these weapons, for the most part, they're coming from the American government.
Now, here's another question, because we have seen that under the Obama administration, the federal government has ordered and stockpiled, billions of rounds of ammunition. Do you think it's because they're sending a lot of that south of the border? Because obviously, in order for all of the wonderful federal law enforcement officers and those who probably even shouldn't have guns, like certain IRS agents, you're talking thousands of rounds per agent if they were using it for target practice. This is not even including the military stockpile. This is the civilian stockpile. Homeland, DHS stockpiling this ammo. Are they now sending this ammo to be used in those weapons?
As far as the ammunition and that, I couldn't tell you. I really don't know. But you're talking about people that shouldn't even be carrying a weapon. You do know that, I think it was the Department of Agriculture that ran the food stamp program. Mm-hmm. Some of their investigators also carried weapons, and I'm like, dude, you're a monopoly money cop. Why are you carrying a weapon? Because they go into like these small grocery stores looking to see if they're violating, the EBT cards or the food stamp program, and these guys are carrying weapons, and I'm like, serious, dude? You track monopoly money, and you're carrying a weapon? Oh, hell no. But it could have been a wholesale buy. You never know. It is cheaper to buy bullets on wholesale than it is retail.
Again, you don't need billions of rounds. Weren't there some EPA agents that had weapons? We're talking EPA.
That I don't know. That's something that I'm really not all knowing. But I wouldn't be surprised if there were EPA agents carrying weapons, because sometimes they have to go on the reservations to make sure that they're not harming, the environment, when the res is, supposedly sovereign nation, and, cops and sheriffs and state police can't set foot in there without permission, but they do it anyway.
So where do you think this is going? What do you think the end game for this is? Are we going to, we don't really need the oil from Mexico anymore. How is this going to end?
Well, the only way it can end is if Because you remember there was a time where they wanted to drill up in Alaska, and if you compared the size of Alaska to the size of the area that they wanted to drill oil from, it was basically the size of a postage stamp. It was a very, very small area where they wanted to go in there and drill for oil. And the Obama administration kept saying, no, you're not going to do that, you're not going to do that, because he wanted to make his EPA friends or his tree hugger friends very happy. Well, we got to drill. Mexico won't like that. It'll mean less jobs for Mexicans, but it also means less deaths, because that's another thing that, this trade-off with the Mexican government created was more jobs, for Mexicans, even though it was at the cost of too many lives, if you ask me.
American and Mexican lives and American jobs, yes. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Gotta love what our government does in secret that they don't want us to know about, all in the name of America. The American way is not, in my book, has never been about trampling on other people and doing stuff that is immoral and illegal to such a high degree. But in any case, well, thank you again.
Well,
for
the sad part is that before President Trump came into office, I tried to talk to some reporters about this, and I showed my credentials and everything, and they basically told me, we can't run with this because we can't verify anything. But yet, Anthony Scaramucci, for some reason, made billions of dollars with the Russians, and that wasn't verified or anything like that. I was, for the most part, ignored by the press, so I just gave up.
Well, they didn't want to expose their wonderful potentate to any scandal. Even today they lie and say, well, he was the only administration in decades that didn't have a scandal. Well, okay. I guess they must have redefined the term scandal.
No, not one single scandal, but a mound of them.
A mound of them, yes. Another wonderful and very informative report this week again, Agent. Thank you so much. And dude, stay safe out there. You're starting to deliver some stuff that's getting really, really scary.
Well, if you don't hear from me next week, you know what happens.
Well, we better hear from you next week. Stay safe, my friend.
Right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
You too. Have a great week.
Hold on, folks. We're not done yet. We'll be back.
I'm not Rod Eccles, and I approve this message. A couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said, "I'll bet you're a Nazi." Well, I love America, support the Constitution, and believe in capitalism. So I told him I'm not a Nazi, and I'm not. So what happens? The punk breaks out 2 windows and pepper sprays an elderly woman in the face. There's one thing about long-haired young people nowadays. They're real assholes. Long-haired young people, you suck.
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $14 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
Warning. Listening to the Rod Eccles Show by the Idiot Left may cause outrage, fear, a need for safety pins and/or spaces. If you experience any of these symptoms or are allergic to truth, tune in and learn something.
603-835-3226. That is a number to call should you wish to join me here live on the program. And we got this report from, it's from the Daily Caller. And it involves Sarah Palin. Yes, the You Betcha lady from Alaska. The woman who did not say, I can see Alaska from my house. No, Sarah Palin didn't say that. But anyway, she's now suing the New York Times for defamation. Good for her. It's about damn time. I thought she should have did this a long time ago. But evidently, because the New York Times is one of those venerable news outlets that thinks that they are unaccountable, that they can do or say any damn thing that they want and get away with it. They're about to be, they're about to be slapped. Sarah Palin is suing the New York Times for defamation according to documents filed in federal court yesterday that were obtained by the Daily Caller. The lawsuit has to do with an editorial the New York Times ran on June 14th of this year that falsely smeared Palin again as inciting the 2011 shooting of Democrat Representative Gabby Giffords by a mentally ill man. There is no evidence to support the New York Times implication that Palin played a role in inciting the Giffords shooting. Well, of course, this is what they always do. Whenever there's a mass shooting, the first thing they think about is Tea Party, then Republican. It has to be Tea Party. Well, if it's not a Republican, they have to be, or not a Tea Party member, they have to be Republican because they must be listening to people like Rush Limbaugh. They're listening to a conservative talk radio because conservative talk. The only people inciting violence on the air, be it radio or television or anywhere else, is the left. Anybody notice that? It's just, you see anybody on the right holding up a severed head of Obama? No, it was Kathy Griffin doing it for Donald Trump.
Today, there's a beer for everyone.
Hey, me and the guys are going out for beer. You want to come along? Nah, I got a lot of data to enter into the computer tonight.
Now, there's a brew for the future.
Want me to bring you something back? Thanks, but I got some right here.
Microsoft Brew.
You got a beer tap on your computer?
With a head so thick you can float a mouse on it.
Let me get this straight. You make your own beer with the computer? With the right software, you can do anything.
Microsoft Brew.
Here, I call this one Windows 95. I don't know, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
And if you gotta get there quicker, try the new ISDN malt liquor.
When I found out I had atrial fibrillation, a serious but highly treatable heart condition, the first thing I thought of was who would take care of my wife and children if anything were to happen to me. My doctor recommended Prevactin. I had a lot of questions, so I did some research. It turns out Prevactin is the #1 recommended drug for Crohn's disease. I think my doctor's trying to kill me and steal my wife.
Doctors. They'll stop at nothing to get your wife.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
And so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better, at nih.gov.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
It's a huge burden lifted financially, and so it allows you to give singular focus to your child. I've never known a hospital that takes care of their patients so thoroughly.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When they told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow. They pretty much have saved us.
It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders, and now your focus is supporting this child.
There is not another hospital like St. Jude. The patient care is unmatchable. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Studio located somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire is Rod Eccles.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 here on the Rod Eccles Show. The fastest 3 hours on Internet Talk Radio is right here, powered by Zinc Media Arts. Here it is, Wednesday, Hump Day, June number 28 in the year of our Lord 2017. Call-in number is 603-835-3226. Should you wish to utilize yourself of that. Thank you again to all you liberty lovers and ecclesiastites all across the globe for tuning in. The previous hour was rather eye-opening with the intel report from Agent 007. And this dovetail, we'll get back to the Sarah Palin story in a bit, but this dovetails with that. Now, folks, this goes along with what we know has happened and what we learned has happened and is happening in South and Central America, as far as the so-called drug war is concerned. We also know that we have a failed war here in this country for the drug war, and it's highly possible it's due to the government fighting itself, different government agencies doing certain things, and pretty much just fighting itself. Or are they really fighting themselves, or is it an opportunity? Now, I know I'm getting off into the area a little bit of Alex Jones stuff here with conspiracy theories. But stay with me on this for a second. We have this war on drugs. Now, make no mistake about it. Our society cannot stand as a just society if we allow if we just allow willy-nilly, openly, certain types of drugs to be utilized whenever somebody wants to use them, they're devastating. Not just devastating to individuals, but they're devastating to communities as a whole, our society as a whole. Pot is not one of those. I'm sorry, but pot never should have been made illegal, and we could go back and forth for those who think that pot should be. But I'm telling you right now, the whole reason why pot was made illegal was based on lies. It was and is. Not that pot is a benign item, because I go just the opposite way with you people that think that pot is the panacea, is a perfect drug, there are no side effects. All that is BS too. Everything has a side effect. Hell, caffeine has side effects, for crying out loud. Drinking too much coffee or soda has a side effect. So don't give me this, well, there's no side effects. Nobody ever died from smoking. But no, that's wrong. People have died from drinking coffee because of caffeine. Strokes and heart attacks have been proven to be caused by drinking caffeine for some people. So even caffeine has killed people. So don't tell me that pot has never killed anybody. But that is not the big case here. That is not the whole thing. Why is it that you have so many people, so many law enforcement agencies that, you look at this and say, well, if we decriminalize pot, that allows you to focus on the more serious crimes and more serious drug use. So why is it that they're so adamant against legalizing pot? And I know there has been a push to legalize certain other opioids, or at least have them decriminalized to the fact where people have to, be supervised in using drugs, certain illicit drugs. Why are police departments against that kind of thing? Why is law enforcement against that? Well, maybe because it's an economic boon to law enforcement. And you're probably thinking, what are you talking about, Rod? Well, here's the facts. And National View has picked up on this. And I have mentioned this before. This is all due to a very unconstitutional law that has been accepted into our society today. And nobody questions it anymore until it happens to them. And that law is called asset forfeiture. Did you know that the police can take your money and or your property and keep it even if no charges are filed against you? Yeah, and try to get it back. Did you know that it may be your property, but you're not involved in the situation. You weren't even there. Somebody else was on your property or utilized your car, and the police can, through asset forfeiture, take your property even though you're not even involved in it. Did you know that? That's happened. There are no hearings on it. They just take it. So Clarence Thomas, he talked about this from the bench even. He talked, this is terror. This is not good stuff. Though the matter has not yet come before the Supreme Court, Justice Thomas is very much at the center of a federal case with a name that sounds like it ought to have come from a William Gaddis novel, United States versus $17,900 in United States currency. Now, the case has the potential to help rein in one of the most abused powers enjoyed by American government since our country's inception: asset forfeiture. The case involves a New York couple, Angela Rodriguez and Joyce Copeland, who lost the above-mentioned $17,900 to police in a case in which no charges were ever filed against them. They sued for recovery of their money, and incredibly, a federal court found that they lacked standing to sue for their own possessions. This is also why I say standing is an insidious thing. There is no such thing as you need standing. because a court can just decide that you don't have standing for anything. That is not a constitutional argument. You don't have any standing. Of course I do. I'm an American citizen. It's the only standing I need. But imagine you're going to get your property back because you didn't get charged with anything, but the police took it. So you're going to go sue, and a federal judge says, no, you can't. You don't have any standing. Wait, that's my money. Well, it's not yours. It was until they took it. Well, it's not yours now, so you don't have any standing. Well, that's the whole point. They never should have taken it. Or at least if they've taken it, they should give it back. No charges were filed. We're not guilty of anything. So the D.C. Circuit Court sees things differently as this is concerned and has ruled in favor of allowing Rodriguez and Copeland to at least have their day in court and attempt to reclaim their money. But they shouldn't have to. It should be given back. If you are not charged, or if you do get charged and found not guilty, you should automatically have your property given back. But see, police departments don't have to do that. And in most cases, and I'm not exaggerating, most cases, they do not give it back. Take, for example, this man. Man jailed for 90 days. Handyman carpenter is jailed after a policeman pulls him over for having a headlight out. Sees a white powder on his carpet in his car. Says, brings in a drug sniffing dog. This is also why drug sniffing dogs do not really work. Drug sniffing dog says that there's drugs in the car. Police search the car, see the white powder, test the white powder. They say it tests positive for cocaine. Come to find out, 3 months later, because it takes 3 months for lab results to come back, it was just as the man told the cops that it was, drywall powder. No cocaine was found in the car. No marijuana was found in the car. No illicit drugs were found in the car. Not even aspirin. And yes, they took the car and they went over it with a fine-tooth comb because obviously they wanted to charge him with more than just possession. No drugs were found other than that white powder that they say tested positive for cocaine. Came back that same powder from a lab, a police lab that took 3 months while this guy rotted away in jail for 3 months for them to come back and say, no, he's right, it's only drywall. Well, how did a drug-sniffing dog say that it was drugs in the car when there were no drugs found? How did a field test from the police department give a positive result for marijuana, for cocaine? How did it give a positive result? Well, it gives a positive result because not because the cop did something wrong, but that's because it's how our government in this drug war is situated. Anything that they can do to take your property and keep it is what they're going to do. Now, police departments get to keep the vast majority of all the assets that that are forfeited, that they seize, and they get to put it in their budget. How do you think police in Florida were starting to drive around in Lamborghinis and Ferraris? Because if they found even in one illegal or controlled pill in somebody's Lamborghini, they kept the car. Forfeit, asset forfeiture. It's an evil and insidious thing. When you as an American citizen have no recourse to get your property back if you're found not guilty of a crime that you're charged with that led to the forfeiture, or if you're not even charged at all. Folks, this is all about money and power. Don't think it just has to do with drug cartels wanting money. This is about governments wanting money and power too. And they will do anything and try to trample on your rights in any possible way, at any possible time that they can, to get what they want from you. mean, there have been reports after reports on this asset and then now asset forfeiture. Believe it or not, it came about in the 80s. It's part of a package of get tough on crime from bills from Ronald Reagan. And we all look at Ronald Reagan as being, he wasn't a perfect human being. He wasn't a perfect president. He still made mistakes, and this was one of those mistakes. It's a poorly written bill that became law, that was never really thoroughly and fully challenged and vetted. And now lots of Americans have been entrapped in this thing and have lost billions of dollars across the country since then in assets. Now you're probably thinking, well, this is what they get for having drugs. What if they didn't have any drugs? What if they never get charged with having drugs? This man spent 30 days in jail, or 90 days in jail for drywall. He was lucky to get his car back. And this happens more often than not, folks, than you would think. This happens a lot. The asset forfeiture is insidious. I mean, trust me, I have sat at a traffic stop while the police officer looks at me and says, well, you were going too fast. And I'm like, no, I didn't know I was going too fast, or I had a tail light out. And next thing I know, there's more blue lights pulling up behind me. No big deal. They ask for backup. But what pops out? But a dog. Now, knowing that I don't do drugs, but I know how these dogs can all of a sudden just decide, for whatever reason, that there's drugs in my car. This has happened to too many people. A positive sniff results in all kinds of actions against people, and they lose their damn possessions. Now, luckily, that's never happened to me. It's gone that far, but I'm telling you, you're going to be nervous. If you know how the system works, you're going to be nervous. This is why you always got to ask, am I free to go? You got to push for it. You cannot let them keep you sitting there for longer than necessary, because they will find if they just don't like the way you look, or if they even just think maybe that you are a drug dealer, drug pusher, or drug user, they're going to do everything they can to hold you there to find something. And it's not because they're evil cops, but it's because of how they're trained. And they got to make sure, because we have this war on drugs. We can't let any drugs on our streets, any illegal drugs. And we got to find out and make sure. So we're going to bring in these dogs. And we know that these dogs are inaccurate. And we also know that these field tests are inaccurate. But are you going to blame a cop for arresting somebody if drywall turns out to be, they say that they tested drywall and it says that it's cocaine? You going to blame the cop? No. Dog says there's drugs in the trunk. You going to blame the cop? No. But I'm blaming the laws that give them permission to do this kind of stuff. And that is the asset forfeiture. It's terrible. It's counterproductive. It doesn't work. It's anti-American and it's anti-constitutional. And if we allow this sort of thing to happen, well, are you surprised that we have other unconstitutional laws in the books? I'm not.
Yes, love hurts. It can hurt emotionally, but more important, it can also hurt you physically. It can hurt you in a way which nobody who owns a hot tub and lives in California can afford to be unaware of. Yes, I'm talking about California hot tub rectal gonorrhea. This painful, incurable disease can make an enjoyable soak in a hot tub with family, friends, and dog into a literally unforgettable experience. If you catch California hot tub rectal gonorrhea, not only will you walk around feeling like you're about to pass a twisted sardine can lid, you'll also smell like a pile of burning tractor tires. So don't jump out of the frying pan and into the hot tub, because if you get California hot tub rectal gonorrhea, it'll really burn your ass.
This has been a public service message brought to you by the Citizens Against CHTRG Foundation. California hot tub rectal gonorrhea. We're not going to take it sitting down.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
A lot of people out there who are pro-anti-drug enforcement think that I am not, by saying what I just said, I'm not a law and order guy. No. What you fail to realize is I'm a constitutional law and order guy. Because if you're not going to follow the Constitution, well, you're breaking the law. The superior law of the land is the Constitution. Everything else must fall in line with the Constitution. All our laws, everything the government does must fall in line with it. If you break that, then you don't have a Constitution. And you don't have law and order. Plain and simple. It is not law and order to break the laws of the Constitution. I don't know why people don't get this. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. You just cannot decide that you're going to make a law that subverts the Constitution. Doesn't work that way. No, it shouldn't work that way. But it unfortunately is working that way. We've got all kinds of unconstitutional things on the books, from the asset forfeiture with, no due process needed in that. Just take it and you don't get it back. Look, they can just accuse you of anything. And people have been accused of anything. And it's been proven that they've been and sometimes it's the cop's fault and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's their equipment. I mean, like in this particular case that I mentioned. And this is actually from CBS local in Detroit, a Detroit man. And they're reporting on an Oviedo, Florida man, Oviedo. 90 days in jail, lucky to get his car back because testing equipment failed and said something was not what it was. And then it took him 90. Why did it take him 90 days to test it? That's ridiculous. And can you imagine that? You're in your work clothes, You have the tools of the trade in your car. You tell the cop that you're a carpenter and that you do drywall and stuff and all the dirt and powder and, stuff. I remember when I did construction, they would have thought some of that stuff could have been drugs too, I guess, in my car. Construction is dirty stuff. It's a dirty job. Can you imagine? Oh, yeah, well, that sawdust over there, it kind of looks like pot. We're going to test it for marijuana and have it come back as marijuana from some field test. And then I got to wait 90 days before they let me off the hook when somebody says, oh, no, the real test says it's just sawdust, wood. Really? And we're going to accept that? No, everybody's all law and order. Yeah, well, we gotta fight drugs until it happens to them, and then they realize, well, maybe there's a problem that needs to be fixed. Well, by the time it happens to you, it's too late, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
This is Free America broadcasting on the Rod Eccles Show with a message to all patriots trapped behind the lines in California, New York, Boston, and Chicago. Don't give up, true lovers of America. Even as we speak, moves are being made to drive the invaders back to the land from which they came. Defeat the would-be dictators and lift the chains of tyranny from around your neck. Stay strong. Stay brave. You're not forgotten, and you're not alone. Until next time, patriots, this is Free America signing out.
Bring the rain.
Welcome back. If you are looking for an opportunity to earn extra cash or maybe even a full-time income, maybe you're a snowflake right now, but you're a snowflake that owns a four-door vehicle, you should look into Uber. Uber just announced something amazing these past weeks, over the past week. And all that amazing stuff is going to put more money into Uber drivers' pockets. In some areas where the rates were artificially low, Uber's raising the rates. In some other markets, the rates are already where they should be, and Uber's allowing drivers to earn even more by reducing the wait time. Now, I know some people talk to, some drivers complain that it could take a rider 5 or 10 minutes to come out to get in the car to begin the trip, and Uber wasn't charging them or penalizing riders who did that repeatedly. Well, they listened to drivers. They asked drivers what they would like to see to improve Uber service, to help Uber drivers make their drive easier, better, more efficient, how they could earn more money. And Uber this week has announced a number of different new things that they are they're unveiling. It's already out there. They're already out there. That drivers are saying, indeed, this directly has impacted their incomes, and their incomes are on the rise. So if it was already lucrative to be an Uber driver, and now that Uber itself has done some things and listened to drivers to help drivers make even more, what are you waiting for? You still get to, turn on the app whenever you want to and turn it off whenever you want to, and you still get to make money part-time using your own car. And in some markets, you can go out and rent a car, or you can go and buy a car through certain special programs or lease cars. This stuff works, but you got to get the information to see if it's right for you. Just go to rodeccles.net /store, click on the Uber button, and get the information and see if it's right for you in your market. You can earn some money. Before we get to Future Shock, let's take a quick call here. We've got 817. You're live on the Rod Eccles Show. Good morning. What you got?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Well, it's good talking to you. I just wanted to... Do you know anything about Pete Santelli?
No, I do not. What about Pete Santelli?
He's got the Pete Santelli Show. You remind me of him, and I love talk shows that you can listen to and you can feel connected with, especially if they can take a call, you get a little bit like the Alex Jones show or Sean Hannity, and you got like, all right, you got 30 seconds, go. I like that you can actually express yourself. But hey, man, I just wanted to call and just give you thumbs up, man. You're doing a great job, and I appreciate everything you're doing, brother. I love your show. I'm very new to it. I think 2 weeks I've been listening to you.
Oh, I thank you very much. I'm honored that you're tuning in, and I'm worthy of your time. But you cut me to the quick by comparing me to Alex Jones.
Hey, dude. Hey, I only listen to Alex Jones to get a kick of what he's saying. He is a very interesting person, and I'm telling you, if you want a good laugh, just how his reactions are, man, he is the person to listen to. He's got some pretty good information, but
no, I will get. He is very animated. He really can be very animated, and Alex Jones is one of the odd ones, because sometimes he'll come out with stuff that's right on the money, and then sometimes he's just way out in left field. So you have to be able to understand where he's coming from with certain stuff. But he does put out some good stuff, and let's face it, he's been around for a long time, a lot longer than people realize. And there's a lot of stuff that he's brought to the forefront before some of the other big guys have, and they picked up on it after Alex Jones. So he's not always a kook. He really isn't.
Exactly. Now, when you think about this health plan that's going to be getting passed, I'm not really too crazy about it. I wouldn't say I lean towards the right, and I'm more of a constitutionalist conservative.
Well, the health. My position has always been to repeal it. There's no need to replace it. You just repeal the damn thing and be done with it.
Exactly.
But these fools and these idiots are bent on replacing it. And I've always said that you've had, even though the president is behind a replacement type of thing, I don't think he really fully understands what the moderate blue blood Republicans want to replace it with. They don't dislike Obamacare. They just dislike how it was implemented and some of the taxes in it. But they still want to be able to have a government system. And they still want some sort of they just before McConnell said, well, we're going to put off the vote, they introduced a penalty for people who don't have health insurance. So it's Obama light. That's why they couldn't. That's why 5 of the Republican senators, led by Ron Paul, said there's no way in hell we can support this. We're not going to vote for this.
Exactly.
Which is why
and he's just sorry.
No, which is why they put off the vote. So.
Yes, and it's just rebranding and renaming. That's all it is. It hasn't been changed, and I'm really disgusted about it. I think he's just trying to hurry up and throw it out there so he can say, "Hey, look what I did." He's not worried about trying to, construct a brand new setup for a very constitutional healthcare, because we need one really bad. And I'm tired of paying for a tax for my wife, every year, because I can't afford to pay for insurance for her. I got insurance for myself. If I could, I would just give my wife my insurance. But, man, they want an arm and a leg for spouses. I got my kids on a different insurance. It's very good.
You want to know how you bring down the price of insurance plans? Is you go back to the market itself. You open the door so you can buy your insurance policy from across state lines, just like you can any other kind of insurance out there. Now, people don't realize
free market.
They don't realize that you used to have to buy your car insurance from within the state that your car was registered and you were domiciled. And then they dropped all those restrictions, same with life, health, and disability insurance. And all those, everybody started to compete with everybody else from coast to coast.
Yep.
Prices went down. Service standards went up. The quality of the insurance that people were getting went up. I mean, I know there are certain states that have they have these ridiculous minimums, and they're still a little bit expensive. But it's a lot less expensive than it used to be, comparatively speaking. So if you can do that with health insurance like it used to be before wonderful President Carter got involved, then you'd have a lot cheaper. And if you could open back up the fact that people could get something called a catastrophic health. I used to have a catastrophic health plan, and it was extremely cheap for me. But that plan under Obamacare became illegal, not expensive, just illegal. I couldn't get it anymore. So why can't I get something that I want that worked for me, that somebody else was offering, and I paid them a little bit of money, they gave me the coverage, and we were both happy. And all of a sudden the government steps in and says, no, I'm sorry, I'm not down with that. That's not constitutional.
No, it isn't. It isn't. It's like you're putting a gun to my head saying you have to get insurance or we are going to steal money from you legally. And that's ridiculous. And one last thing before I want to tie you up, but you ever heard of Dr. Umber?
That name sounds familiar, but I can't say that I know him off the top of my head, no.
Dr. Umber, he's been on Sean Hannity's show a lot. He's over there in Wichita, Kansas.
He's a guy that has
he does
kind
that
of like
$50 a month.
Yeah, he's got this
for
sort
adults.
of this more modern version of a prepaid health plan. PHPs were
Beautiful.
all the rage. Yeah, the PHPs were all the rage back in the early '80s when things were first getting out of control and PHPs were popping up. I thought I'd heard the name before. Right, Dr. Umber has a form of a PHP that is a beautiful thing. Everybody that uses it works. It works for them. It works. And the other thing is there are these different types of insurance groups. Now, some of them have been able to actually get licensed and operate, which I'm surprised, and some have been denied. There's like this Christian, what is it called? It's a sharing kind of group. Every month, you submit your claims, and the claim gets approved, and then everybody who's a member, all 250,000, it becomes a part of that monthly premium. And,
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name.
Anyway, it's a Christian-based thing, and that makes sense too, because then you're not being forced to pay for stuff that you don't believe in your religion. So
and you're not paying. You're paying $1 for stitches. I mean, you're paying the real price instead of paying the $40 for a ridiculous pain pill that you can get for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. By the way, in some hospitals, did you know that a single Tylenol pill can be charged to your account $60 or more for a pill? One pill. Tylenol.
Exactly.
Regular Tylenol. So, but yeah, that's legal under the current system.
Yeah.
Totally legal. Well,
thank you very much. I don't want to tie you up. Thank you very much for taking my call. Great show. You take care, brother.
Thank you for listening. Thank you so much. Great talking to you for sure. Why is it so difficult just to repeal this thing and let the market open up the market, allow the market to take it to do what the market has always done best? The market is not perfect, but it is far more perfect than any government solution. Trust me on that. It just, and this government solution that they have now for healthcare, that is. And that means it is now time for Future Shock. You might remember that I brought a story to you a few weeks ago about Dubai. Well, I brought a number of stories to you from Dubai, but here's about the Dubai, flying taxis and walking police officers, and now there's something new. And then we're not talking real far in the future, like, 4 or 5 or 10 years in the future. We're talking by the end of this year. In Dubai, of course, now Dubai has unveiled the first flying taxis in the world. They're people-sized drones, basically, and they expect 25% of all their taxi services to be automated flying drones by the year 2025. They also want 1/3 of their police department to be robot police officers by the year 2030. Well, here's something that they're going to be putting on the road by the end of this year, 2017. Self-driving miniature police cars. They're expected to hit the streets in Dubai by year end. Now, the robotic vehicles will be equipped with, and here's the future shock point of it, with biometric software to scan for wanted criminals and undesirables who are suspected of or are breaking laws. So they're putting out these mini little cars. They're about this. I think they're a little bit smaller than the so-called smart car, And they're going to start putting those out onto the streets of Dubai. Now, biometric scanning, face recognition, all this kind of stuff. These things are going to be running around the streets. Just, basically think of the Star Trek's, the Star Trek scan, the Enterprise scan the planet. Well, guess what? There's something else set in TV Futureland that is now reality and about to be deployed on all of us. And if you think Dubai is the only city in the world that's going to have this stuff, you better think again. You're going to get bioscanning. They're going to be able to scan you, whether you realize it or not, in the street. They're going to be, they already have this type of stuff, similar types of stuff in places like London, facial recognition in public places. That's why London has all these cameras everywhere, because they're able to use facial recognition software. And this and other biomarkers is what they're going to be using in Dubai to track down criminals and potential criminals. It's getting pretty hard to be a crook nowadays, let me tell you. Although, I don't know, if they were to put one of these things in the streets of Chicago, something tells me it'd be shot full of holes before it got even a block away from the police station. Chicago's going to be spending a lot of money on these things, let me tell you. But that's today's Future Shock. We'll be back.
What if I told you that you could lose weight simply by drinking coffee? Change your coffee, change your life. Our gourmet estate-grown coffee is infused with powerful herbs that help you melt fat and keep you from feeling hungry for 6+ hours. Get results or your money back. Order yours today at skinnycoffeeshop.com. That's skinnycoffeeshop.com. Tea and water also available. skinnycoffeeshop.com.
Have a legal problem and need some serious legal advice? Then you're listening to the wrong podcast.
Any facts we say here are probably wrong, and any analysis of the law should not be followed.
There you go. Reasonable men are here to take a twisted look at the law.
Stack your hay right.
Learn in hand. Best name in law school.
Check us out on iTunes, reasonablemen.com, or on your favorite podcast app.
Reasonable men are back.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
The most politically incorrect black man in America. You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
Yes, indeed. Now on to Sarah Palin. Yeah, Sarah Palin is suing the New York Times about a story that basically totally maligned her and put her as the reason for the Gabby Giffords shooting. Ms. Palin brings this action to hold the Times accountable for defaming her by publishing a statement about her that it knew to be false, that Mrs. Palin was responsible for inciting a mass shooting at a political event back in January of 2011. So the suit states, specifically on June 14, 2014, the Times editorial board, which represents the voice of the Times, falsely stated as a matter of fact to millions of people that Mrs. Palin incited Jared Lautner, his January 8, 2011 shooting rampage at a political event in Tucson, Arizona, during which he shot 19 people, severely wounding United States Congresswoman at the time, Gabrielle Giffords, and killing 6, including Chief U.S. District Court Judge John Roll and a 9-year-old little girl. The lawsuit states that the paper published and promoted its editorial board's column despite knowing that the linchpin of its sickening pattern of politically incited shootings was the false assertion that Mrs. Palin incited Lautner to murder 6 people, among them a child and a federal judge, and seriously wounding numerous others, including a sitting congresswoman. Good for her. It's about damn time these people are called to... they have to be held accountable. Here's something from... ARSTechnica.com. Ars Technica. Ringless voicemail spam won't be exempt from anti-robocall rules. Yeah, evidently, what they were trying to do is some of these people, these businesses, wanted to get past the anti-call, do not call list by actually sending a message to your voicemail without having your phone ring. Now, I didn't know this was possible. I should have known it was possible, but I didn't think anybody could do this. Actually, send a message to your phone without it ringing every time they do it. I mean, sure, you might be, it might have your phone off or be out of range or what have you, and then, of course, it goes to voicemail and you won't hear it. But let's just say you're sitting at home, right, or somewhere within you have 4 or 5 or maximum bars on your phone. Next thing you know is you get a beep that you have a voicemail. You've got mail. So you got a voicemail. But your phone didn't ring. So you go to your voicemail, and it's a robocall. Well, evidently, there were some Republicans who believed in this, that this was a part of free speech. It's like, you don't have the free speech to bug the hell out of me on my own private devices. Now, if you want to shout out in the middle of the street, whatever you're selling, that's your prerogative. You got free speech there. But to actually call me and utilize my devices and things that I'm paying for directly out of my own pocket, not tax dollars, but my own devices, my voicemail, you don't have a right to do that. That's not free speech. And I have no idea why some blue blood... Well, I do know why. It's all about the money, because they think they're going to get money from these companies if they do that. And it's just, I don't know why they would stand for such a thing. That thing is terrible. People, that's free. That is freedom of speech, right? Robocalling somebody is freedom of speech, but just voicing your support for Donald Trump, according to Antifa, is not freedom of speech. That's fascism. These people don't know what freedom of speech is. Well, they don't. Do you want to tell me that they do? They don't know what freedom of speech is. They really, really don't. In any case, tomorrow is Military Tribute Thursday. Have another wonderful tribute for you tomorrow, as well as some military-inspired music. Plus, if you have a question, don't forget to send me the question or your military tribute for your fallen hero, military hero. Send the questions or the tributes to Rod at rodeccles.net. Again, that's Rod at rodeccles.net. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful hump day Wednesday afternoon. We'll be back here in 21 hours. Until then, I'm out.
Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A shameless politician always plays her cards right. Got a crew for the fight on the airwaves. Lapdogs in the press keep their mouths tight. Cause a Clinton never needs to explain what, why it is what they done or with who. A real Clinton knows that they're entitled, and you don't get to know what they do.
What difference does it make?
For Clinton, what's loaded in some fat Apple file? A Clinton plays the victim for promotion. A Clinton kills it off with a smile. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A server full of secrets ain't no thing. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Nothing ever hits with the sting.